Hello, everyone, and welcome back to BenchWire. We got a brand new episode in store for you guys today. We're already on episode 54, and we just concluded with week 2. We're going to recap it right here, and I'm joined by Justin. How we doing, Justin?
Uh, well, week two, I think reality's starting to set in for my favorite team. So I'm not as enthused as last week, but I love football so much, man. I love Benchwire. I'm happy to be here, but it comes with a heavy heart, though.
It does. And we get to talk about it today, and we get to vent about it. So that's the good thing
Uh,
about this podcast, right? So let's
that's true.
let's talk about Thursday night football. So the Bills, they I guess pulled off the upset. Everyone thought the Dolphins were winning, and we were totally wrong. The Bills won, and they won pretty darn good. James Cook was cooking, and Josh Allen did what he had to do to get the job done. And that defense, they pretty much shut down Tua on that offense. And yeah, the Bills got the job done. They did beat the Dolphins there on Thursday Night Football. And then we got to talk about the injury that happened with Tua. I believe it's like his third or fourth concussion in the past few years now. He played a full season last year, but this year he did go down with another concussion. And I don't know if everyone saw that play, but we'll talk about it. It was with Damar Hamlin. He could have slid there, but he was trying to get the first down and more, and he went head first and just collided with Damar Hamlin there. And it was pretty brutal injury because you could saw right away like Tua was just not in a great state, and he just got another concussion. Like he was like doing all those hand movements and stuff, and that's how you know it's a sign of a concussion there. But yeah, prayers up to Tua. Hopefully he gets a speedy recovery there. We want to see him back. We'll talk about should he retire and all that. We'll get into that. But yeah, just prayers up to Tua, and hopefully he comes back sooner rather than later. And he has to be 100% for him to come back, obviously. But yeah, I want to turn over to you, Justin. What are your thoughts about that game and Tua injury and all that?
Yeah, I'll start with the game first. Tua wasn't his best performance. The Sean McDermott and his defense had a good plan. They Tua didn't make the best decisions. One, yeah, it hit the receiver. It wasn't Waddle or Hill. It hit the guy before he turned out of his break, but it was a great throw by him. He missed it, picked off. And then he had another interception with Robbie Anderson. He ran like a curl, and I think Tua was expecting him to go towards the sideline a little bit deeper and out. And that was a miscommunication there between the two. And then the other one, like before the half, he threw one that was, I think he was either trying to get it out of bounds, but he didn't get enough air on it and it ended up getting picked off there as well. So not the best performance there. But yeah, again, I'm gonna get into injury in a second, but gotta give credit to the Bills. I went against James Cook in fantasy. That wasn't fun. He went for 3 touchdowns. So
He
that
was
wasn't
balling.
fun. That wasn't fun to go against there, but at least I had Devon Achane, and he kind of offset that for me going into it, which was great. But yeah, credit that James Cook, he looks legit. Josh Allen, not a typical like sensational performance like he did week one, but he did, like you said, he did just enough to get it through. His defense had his back all night. James Cook had the workload too, and yeah, he didn't have to be Superman today. So I mean in that game. So credit to the Bills there for a dominant performance. And yeah, the Tua injury, like you said, like with his 3 concussions or 2 concussions that season, 2 seasons ago, they were talking about they had like they even recorded they've been like recording like he was doing like stuff with learning how to brace himself for impact, not take any like whiplash or hits to the head. And I know he was trained on that, but I don't get why he dove head first into Damar Hamlin. He should have slid. You know your history with concussions. He took off it and hit him, but he was the one that initiated. Damar Hamlin didn't even lower his shoulder or lay any kind of hit back at him, and he still had that traumatic impact. And like you said, he was having some like neural trauma in his brain and he was obviously in pain, and that was rough to see. But in that situation, man, knowing your history, you got to be smarter. You got to slide in that situation. He did not want to lay a big hit there on Damar Hamlin being. He didn't want to lay a big hit, and you dove into him right into his chest plate there and part of his arm, and you still Yeah, and you initiated the hit, and it did that to you. So, and I know he's not planning to retire, but if you're going to come back, you got to be willing to take the precautions there. So, yeah, I guess I'll go into should he retire or not. That's really up to him. If he wants to keep playing, great, keep playing. What I think this becomes is a league issue. If God forbid, if but this goes to any player, but let's just say like if Tua were to come back out, he gets hit hard in the head, and let's say he dies on the field. Let's just say that's a and with all this stuff with the CTE thing will get reignited again. All these things and the NFL will be under scrutiny. There'll be a lot of pressure with Roger Goodell. So what the NFL and what the Dolphins might do to prevent that, they might, even though Tua might want to come back, they might say, "No, I don't think it's the best for your health." And honestly, it's not the best thing for the brand for the NFL to go forward there. Because if that were to happen, we'd be looking at flag football at that point, and I know no one wants to see that, and to look out for that man. I know he's been playing football his whole life, and I get it. You don't want to give that up, too. But this is why I think it becomes more of a league thing, if that makes sense. I think the league might have to step in and say something. But as far as him, you just do what you want to do, man. If you want to play, play, but know the risk you're going to get into. Be more prepared. Don't engage the contact. Make the business decision. Save your personal health and take the slide. Just slide and protect yourself better if you're going to play. But it might see a situation where the league and the Miami Dolphins step in too. So yeah, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, I don't know what he should do, but if he wants to come back, I totally understand. Like that's the player mentality. You always want to play. Like he's been doing this all his life, and if he retires, like what is he going to do? What's his next chapter in his life? And he doesn't want to go through that. So I probably understand the decision there to keep playing. But if I were him, if I get one more concussion, I'm retiring. Like I want to have a future. I want to have a family. I want to have kids. I want to do that whole next chapter of my life, and I would
Right.
put family over football first. But I do get, coming back this year because you were fine last year, right? Played the whole season, and he's meeting with the neurologist this week and the next 4 weeks here, with him being on IR now. So hopefully, he takes care of himself, he protects himself, and he does everything right and comes back 100% healthy and doesn't see the field till he's 100%, and then he's allowed to come back and earn the right to be the starting quarterback again. He just got paid, got all that money, and I don't know how that works. If he retires, does he see that money? Because I know there's some guarantees, but like with this injury, I don't know like the full details about that. I don't know if you do, but I would try and come back and earn that money that you just got
Yeah.
paid for. So, do you know anything
I
about?
know he signed a 212 like 4 or 5 year deal. I know 100 and I forget the number. Over 100, well over 100 million that's guaranteed. So we'll have that. He'll touch a majority of this contract. And I think I saw something today with his policy. I think he had something with his health in there that he gets. I think it was like 49 million or something. I have to look more into that. I have to find that. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think there's some kind of uh policy in place in the contract where he gets I think he's protected from injury too. So
yeah. So
I have to look up that. But
I think he should come back for this season if he can. But if he gets another concussion, like I would shut everything down and I would like really, really want to retire after that point because that's what 4 concussions in the past 3 years, and the more you get, the worse it's going to be for your well-being later in life. So I would retire if I get another concussion. But this year, I understand, they're supposed to be contenders. They're supposed to be one of those competing teams there in the AFC, going for the Lombardi Trophy there. So I get why he wants to come back. He wants to earn that money and, be the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. So if I were him, yeah, make sure you're 100% before coming back on the field. And yeah, I would come back once I'm 100%.
So the policy I looked up, that was more for the Dolphins. So according to this, it was reported today that the part of the contract that they have, it authorizes the Dolphins to purchase one or more insurance policies that will pay the team up to 49.3 million in the event of a football related injury that prevents him from playing. So they have built into that contract, they have right to get some of the money back if they can't play. But his guarantees, I gotta look up his contract guarantees. So regardless of injury, he'll be set for life to a contract. Let me see that real quick.
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah, a
he's
guarantee. It's a guarantee. So it's not like, oh, you didn't play.
okay. So
Uh,
then he pretty much is set for life at the moment.
so 4 year 212, he gets 167 million guaranteed. So really, it's a really nice when he signed that really nice deal for him. So no matter what, I think he's gonna walk away with that 167 million, and you're already a set man for life. And like you're saying too, and what I'm saying, if you can walk away and you can be set.
Yeah.
So you don't feel like you have to play. You got to do what's best for you. So I get that, but yeah, I kind of want to shift this talk into like what the Dolphins are going to do. And I've been watching, and I was watching a video. The guy's name's Dan Sileo. He does more of like Eagles, but his show's called the National Football Show on YouTube. I gotta give him credit for it. But they did sign Snoop Huntley from the Ravens practice squad to be there. I think Skylar Thompson's still slated to be the starter. But what he reported, so about him, he played Miami Hurricane football back when Jim Johnson was on the team. The great Jerome Brown, Eagles legend, was on that Miami Hurricane team, iconic team. So he had some NFL experience, and he's built relationships. So he knows people in that Miami front office, and he said, "Look, Chris Greer, Miami general manager, he called Howie Roseman, he called the Eagles, and they called about Kenny Pickett's availability to see if they could trade for him. They couldn't get a deal with compensation, so then he turned to the Dallas Cowboys and they called about Trey Lance's availability. And whatever reason, they couldn't iron it out. They couldn't get I think Dallas wanted a little bit too much compensation than Greer was willing to give up. So then I guess the last resort was they moved to Snoop Huntley. They signed him off the Ravens practice squad. Today there's a rumor going around, and I think Tyreek Hill responded to it. I don't know if you saw this,
Yeah,
but
the Cam Newton
Cam
thing.
Newton was there today. So
Yeah, I did see that.
we'll see if he was just there to be there, or if he was meeting with Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer and the Miami Brass down there. We'll see if he joins the team. But yeah, it looks like they're still trying to salvage the season and preparing for whether Tua is going to come back or if he's going to hand up the cleats. So
I'm surprised they're not going after Ryan Tannehill. I feel like that would be a good fit there, right? He's been in Miami. He
it
knows
makes
people
sense.
there, right? So I don't know
It makes
why
sense.
that's not a option or something they're looking at.
And he said too a couple days ago that he's looking for a contender, like a
And
win
Miami
now.
is winning.
Yeah, you have a good offense there, even though you look at the Buffalo game, it's like, not the best, but yeah,
Yeah,
hey, how could you not be like, oh, I want to play with Tyreek
I,
Hill,
w-
Devon
I would
Achane, and Waddle.
definitely consider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So I don't
plus,
know if it's
who doesn't want to play in South Beach too?
yeah, exactly. So I don't know if
So,
it's a Chris Greer thing or what, but it is what it is.
but
But yeah,
but yeah, I just wanted to report that what I learned from his show. So yeah, I thought it was interesting. You could take it however you want to, but I think it makes sense for him to reach out to the Eagles and Cowboys in this instance about their backup quarterback availability. So it makes sense to me. But
yeah,
yeah, I guess we'll leave the Dolphins convo for there, and we'll probably have more information next podcast, and we'll give you more information. We'll talk about it some more, but we got some other key matchups to get into. Let's lump these two together. So the Vikings, their home opener, 49ers, you and I both picked the Niners. We're like, yeah, the Vikings had a strong showing against the Giants, but are they for real or are they not? This was their test, and they proved it. They beat the 49ers in a pretty good fashion too. Even so much that Brock Purdy after the game was like, went up to the defensive coordinator, Brian Flores, was like, dude, that scheme was crazy. Your scheme was awesome. And so credit to them. And let's get the Saints in there too. Just absolutely boat racing the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry World. Just absolutely dominating them from the offense. Derek Carr looks good. He has that deep ball threat with Shaheed, and Alvin Kamara for 4 touchdowns is absolutely insane. So, what do you think, Steve? The Vikings and the Saints, are they legit contenders? Do you see them making either team making a playoff run, or is it pretenders? Are they pretending right now?
It's tough to say. It's only been 2 weeks so far. But if I think the Vikings are more pretenders right now than the Saints. I feel like the Saints are more contenders at the moment. I like the Clint Kubiak offense. Like they've been steamrolling teams as of late. They beat the
Yes.
Cowboys, who's supposed to be a contender, right? And the Panthers, they're the Panthers. But yeah, beating the Cowboys there. Was it at Jerry World? I forget.
It was. It
It
was. They were
was.
in
So yeah,
Dallas. Yes.
it was at Dallas, going in there and yeah, giving them an ass whooping. Alvin Kamara, 4 touchdowns. Like that was a solid showing. And now they're playing the Eagles this week. Another true test. So if they win this game, against the Eagles, yeah, I would say they're contenders. And they're going to be competing for first place in that division with the Bucks there and the Falcons. So that division actually might turn out to be a fun, division race there at the end of the season. So yeah, I'm really liking the
Yeah.
Saints right now. For the Vikings, I feel like it's a little too early yet, right? So I know they beat the Niners, but the Niners were a little banged up there, right? They didn't have McCaffrey. Debo went down, and they're not fully healthy there. But it was a good showing, and it was a good output that they had this past Sunday. And then you did beat the Giants, who, a lot of people don't have any, high hopes for them, right? People have them finishing last in the division. And, Daniel Jones did not look great in that game. So I need to see more out of the Vikings, but Sam Darnold, he continues to impress, and he's earning my respect again. And I think, yeah, sitting under that Kyle Shanahan offense, sitting on the bench, learning that system, really gave him a good year of like learning how to be an NFL quarterback the proper way. He's just been in crappy situations with Adam Gase, the Carolina offense with Matt Rule. Like now he was able to learn behind Shanahan and now Kevin O'Connell. So now he's actually learning the system of like what it takes to be an NFL quarterback and learning, it doesn't take, to be a gunslinger and throw all these turnovers and all that. Like just find the open guy and just throw them ball and it all works out. So I think, yeah, Darnold, if he continues to play at this level, like they could be a contender. But right now, I wouldn't say that they're a contender yet. It's a little too early for me. But I think the Saints are more contenders than pretenders.
Yeah, I'm going to say actually they're both contenders. I'll start with the Saints first, and I'll give you my explanation on why the Vikings, I believe, are contenders. So starting with the Saints, that hire with Clint Kubiak is proven to be a genius one. He is a guy that was from that Shanahan tree that we love talking about so much. So that offense has unlocked a whole entire new dimension that so that utilizes Derek Carr's strengths and as well as Alvin Kamara's strengths. So that offense is legit. And Dennis Allen, yeah, even though we have questions about him as a head coach, he does know how to coach a defense at the end of the day. Even though the defense hasn't been, they've been good. They've been good enough. They haven't really been tested. They did Dallas. Yeah, I mean, we were pretty high on their performance. You picked them. You're high on Dallas this year more than I am. I think I had Dallas finishing third in the division. So what we saw was with Dallas, they didn't have a run game, and that kind of hurt them, and they became one-dimensional. So I feel like the Niners defense didn't really have much of a test yet. But, hey, if the offense is playing like that, they're putting up 30-plus points every week, then they'll be just fine. They'll be contenders for sure, even though I'm not sold on their defense, especially that offense will be. And, man, Clint Kubiak might be a hot candidate in the coaching market this offseason. So good for him. Good for the Saints. I did not see this 2-0 start. We did pick Dallas to win that game, the two of us. But, hey, they got our respect now. They got our attention. But with the Vikings, I say they're contenders because Jefferson, he did go down that game, and they don't have T.J. Hawkinson there, and yet Sam Darnold was still able to find a way to put it away in the second half. He did. He hit Jalen Naylor on a big play down the seam there too to really seal the deal. So Sam Darnold is a comeback player of the year candidate, and he's leading, in my opinion. That's who I would vote for as of now. I know we're only 2 weeks in, but he was a guy that I was kind of eyeballing. I'm like, okay, Kevin O'Connell. He sat behind Kyle Shanahan too. But he knows what winning is now and knows NFL. Maybe he knows how to pick up on coverages now. Maybe he knows how to read the field. And we're seeing that. And he's done an excellent job so far with that. And like I mentioned up earlier, Brian Flores, his defensive scheme, if they're confusing Kyle Shanahan, and Kyle Shanahan can't scheme his offense to beat that, then that's a good sign too. So if they have a good scheme and that offense will get better, Jefferson will be fine. He's in line to play this week. And you'll get Hawkinson back. You'll get Jordan Addison back also, who missed the game. So I feel like they are contenders. I get it, the Lions are there, and the Packers will get Jordan Love back soon. But I think you could see 2 to 3 teams, depending on how well the Vikings play and the Packers play. You can see 3 teams make it out of that division, I think. Mm-hmm. So I do think they are a contender and a sneaky one too. I think they had an underrated offseason, and it's showing too. So that's my takeaway there. So I think they're both contenders.
Yeah, I also want to say don't sleep on the Bears. I know they didn't have the greatest showing. Caleb Williams didn't look the greatest on Sunday night, but I wouldn't sleep on them yet either. You know, he's still learning. It's only been 2 weeks. He's a rookie quarterback, and they have a solid roster there.
Yeah, so I get that, but that offensive line could not protect them at all. So,
yeah.
I'm a little bit. I'm like, okay, maybe the Bears are going to.
Well, the Texans are for real. We have them in the Super Bowl, so.
They are, but also the Tennessee was giving him trouble, and Caleb did not have a good game against Tennessee. Also, and I do think Tennessee has a good defense, but yeah, I get it. It's still young in the season, and a lot of the rookie quarterbacks have not looked good so far. But we shall see there. But yeah, Steve, I'll turn the floor back to you. The next game we want to talk about is your New York Giants. They traveled down. They played the Commanders at that dump FedEx Field. Yeah, man, take it away. Set the stage. Set the scene.
Yeah, Giants did not win this past Sunday. Not surprised there. They find new ways to lose every week. And this is the first time in NFL history that, a team that scores 3 touchdowns offensively loses to a team that doesn't score any touchdowns and only wins by field goals. 7 field goals, to be exact there. And this is, what was his name? Austin Sobert, whatever.
Scheibert or something.
Scheibert, yeah.
Something
this was
like
his
that.
first game as a Washington Commander, okay? They just signed him that week. He had 7 field goals. And, yeah, the Giants did not let the Commanders' offense punt once. It was literally bend, don't break. And we didn't let them get in the red zone, or the end zone. But they got in the red zone plenty of times. And there was just a lot of penalties there with the Commanders, which shot themselves in the foot. A lot of false starts. So I feel like that's what hurt them. But, yeah, let's talk about the Giants. So Daniel Jones actually did not look awful in this game. Like, he was a solid, average game manager at the quarterback position. Like, he didn't look awful. I would say his worst trait in that game was the deep throws. He didn't connect on one of his deep passes at all. He had 4 attempts. They were, I think, all to Malik Neighbors, and he didn't connect with one of them. Like, he just tried to throw all these deep balls. But, yeah, Malik Neighbors, let's talk about him. He was sensational in this game. Other than the drop, we'll get into that. But, yeah, he had 10 receptions, 127 yards, and a touchdown. Was pretty much the whole offense besides Devin Singletary. And he looked like a freak. He was amazing. He was open, like, on every play. Like, the Commanders have no secondary. They could not stop Malik Neighbors. And he was, just a playmaker and a game changer for that Giants offense. He was literally the whole offense, pretty much. But he did have a crucial drop. And he is a rookie. And it's only his second game. And that's going to happen in your rookie year. I remember with Jamar Chase a few years back, like, he had some drop issues in the beginning of his young NFL career. And now look at him now. He's one of the best receivers in the game. So I feel like that's not going to be an issue there. He'll learn from it. He'll grow from it. And he kept us in the game. He kept us alive in this game. And the game losing was not because of him. It was not his fault. I'm not blaming him. And the Giants lost this game pretty much because they didn't have a kicker. Graham Gano got hurt on the first play of the game on a kickoff return touchdown by Austin Eckler that got called back there because there was a holding call. But we didn't have a kicker, so we had to go for two every time because our punter, the Scottish punter, Jamie Gillan, could not kick an extra point to save his life. He tried one attempt and went wide right. And you could blame Joe Shane or Brian Dable for the roster management of not having a backup kicker there, and they need to figure that out. But they did just sign a kicker this week, Greg Joseph, the guy that hit a 61-yarder against us in the first playoff season with Dable. We lost to them in the regular season when he was on the Vikings. He had a 61-yarder and beat us. So we have some familiarity there with Greg Joseph, but yeah, you can't go in that situation not having a backup kicker because that's what hurt us and what cost us a win. And we easily could have won this game because our defense did not break there and held them to 7 field goals. But we find ways to lose, and we find new ways to lose, and we invent new ways. And we're the first team in NFL history to lose that way. So I don't know who to blame this game on. I would, I guess, blame it on not having a backup kicker. You can blame Dable a little bit. You could blame Shane a little bit. But I'm not blaming Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones was solid. He showed up. He silenced the critics in that game. Like, didn't have any turnovers. Kept us in the game. The defense was still a little lackluster, though. Brian Burns and Kayvon, there wasn't really much pressure there. So that's kind of concerning. Dexter Lawrence is still a beast. He's one of the best players in the league with the interior defensive line. He was wrecking havoc on that center. I forget who it is, but yeah, he was amazing in that game. But yeah, there's still some concerns there with the secondary. They're not the greatest. But Deontay Banks did pretty much lock up Terry McLaurin. He didn't have a great day. And the reason why the Commanders were really good is because our rush defense was awful. I think Brian Robinson had his career high, like 125 rushing yards or something. And Austin Eckler looked like the Chargers, Austin Eckler in that game. So there's a little bit of issue there, but all in all, at the end of the day, it was a good showing by Malik Neighbors, and there was some positivity going into that game. The season is not completely over yet, even though our schedule is going to get tougher and tougher as the weeks go on. We got the Browns this week, the Cowboys. I feel like we need to win this week if we want to, salvage the season here. But yeah, there was some positivity, and I'm not completely upset we lost that game because we didn't have a kicker at the end of the day. But it was good to see Daniel Jones, silence the critics. So I'll say that. I'll turn over to you.
The only positivity is that you have your receiver of the future. That's the only positivity that I would be taking away if I were a Giant fan, is that you got a number one receiver for sure. He balled out. That Commander secondary, like you said, is not very good, and hey, he made them pay. And they knew that. Dable had a pretty good game plan there to get him the ball, and they did. So I will give him credit there. Good job there, utilizing your best playmaker, knowing what the weaknesses on the Commander defense was, and you did that well. But yeah, like you said, that's the only positive I'll give you. The defense, like, who was Brian Robinson even running at? Was he running towards Brian Burns' side? Was he running at Kayvon Thibodeau? Like, who was he running at?
He's running through every side, bro. Like, every side was open. It didn't matter.
Like, who were they running to? Like can they not set the edge and on the run?
Kayvon, I feel like Kayvon had a bad time setting the edge. I did see a play where Brian Burns set the edge. Like, Brian Burns is better at setting the edge than Kayvon, as we all know.
Well, I would hope so.
I would hope so. We're paying him all that money, right?
Yeah.
We need some sack production. I don't know if it's a defense, the scheme we're calling. That's why we're not getting sacks. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's still concerning.
Yeah. I'll just put it in this perspective. I know you said you held them, the bend don't break. I saw that with my team too, and I don't. If Cliff Kingsbury would had some kind of a red zone offense, you could be looking at 49 points from the Commanders.
Yeah,
In all
you're not wrong.
seriousness, so
You're not wrong.
if you want to take that as a positive that they bend and don't break against a rookie quarterback and him learning an NFL system for the first time, okay, credit to you, I
You're
guess.
not
But
wrong.
if
You're
you're
not
playing
wrong.
if you're playing a good system, if you're playing a good offensive system with a competent NFL quarterback, like let's say like Baker Mayfield or something, they'll put up points in the red zone if they get down there. So that's not good. That's not good that you're getting gashed on the run. I can't talk because my I'll get into that, but
That's next. Don't worry.
I can't get into that. Yeah, I will. We will get into that. So I can't talk there. Yeah, but Daniel Jones, I guess he gets a pass. I know you got giving him 3 strikes, Steve. I know we said that off camera, but I guess he doesn't get his second strike this week. But as you said, the schedule's going to toughen up, and I don't expect him to hold as well. I did predict Drew Lock will come in and he'll start. So, yeah, that's my thoughts at it. The defense has a lot of figuring out to do. I think you are starting to regret letting Wink Martindale go. I know he wasn't the best, but I know he would have, with this front four, he would have found ways to generate pressure. I know he would have made it harder on Jaden Daniels, a rookie quarterback. And yeah, they wouldn't have been in the red zone 7 times too. So I
I
think
do miss Wink. I do miss Wink. I
yeah.
will say
So
that.
and I was like, and I even said when I was like, I don't get why they moved on to him. But yeah, Shane Bowen, not a good showing. I do think a scheme change is needed. And hey, if you're paying Brian Burns all that, and you have that draft pick in Kayvon Thibodeau, it's his 3rd year, right?
It is his third
He
year.
needs he needs to step up. This I'm going to get on to it too. Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, they need to step up for my team too. They're not doing anything. Well, same with Kayvon Thibodeau. He's not stepping up. Where's Aziz Ojulari? He needs to step up. So
He actually had a
Dexter,
decent game, Aziz. I think he had a
okay,
sack.
all right. Dexter Lawrence is a heck of a ball player. He's another positive you could take away. You got a guy in the middle of that D line that can hold it down and do his thing and wreck it. So that's good. But paying Brian Burns that money, you need more from him. You do. You need him to
I
wreak
also want
havoc
to
from the
shout
edge.
out Drew Phillips. He had a good game. He's our nickel cornerback, 3rd
Okay.
rounder. He was all over the field, had 12 tackles, and he was just wrecking havoc. I think he had a sack as well. So, yeah, Drew Phillips, shout out to him. He's looking like a stud.
Yeah, and then I'll just close it by saying, yeah, the Joe Shane, Brian Dable, I'll put them collectively together. You got to have some kind of backup kicker, whether it's your Scottish punter, if he could come in and kick extra points there. If a kicker goes down, you got to always have a contingency plan when something goes south, like losing a kicker. You have to have a backup plan. I don't know if you can hold a kicker on the active roster. I don't know if you can have a backup kicker suit up, but you got to have someone there, right, to kick. I've just remembered, just think of it now. Remember Justin Reed? He kicked kickoffs. Remember
He
that?
did.
They
Yeah,
had a
with the
backup.
Chiefs.
They
Yeah.
had a backup, right? That's Andy Reid. They're like, okay, if Butker goes down, who's going to kick? It wasn't
Yes,
the
we just
punter. It
need to
was
find
Justin Reed. You got to have someone. I don't know. It could be freaking Brian Burns for all I know, or
Brian
maybe
Burns.
Daniel Jones finds a new profession in kickoff. I don't
There
know.
we go.
$40 million to kick the football. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, you got it. That's on Dable, in my opinion. Just not having a good plan for the worst there. You got to be prepared on all fronts. So I guess that's a bad job in preparedness and ready for that situation too. But yeah, that's my take on that game, compadre.
All right. So, all right, let's talk about the next game. Let's talk about it was a good game. Went down to the wire, just didn't go your guys' way. Let's talk about it. The Eagles, they kind of collapsed there. They kind of collapsed to the Falcons. Falcons pulled off the upset. They won, I believe, 22-21. It looked like a good game. Looked like it should have been a wrap there. I don't know where you want to start. Let's talk about
You tell me.
the. I don't know. What do you want to talk about? The Eagles' defense, the offense. What went wrong in this game, Justin? I want to hear from you.
Well, Kellen Moore did not call a good offensive game. I will say that. I didn't like this weird motion they did with like either of his Dotson or Smith. They had a motion where he ran behind the running back. I'd never seen that before. I'm like, what is that doing? That's just random. But I had problems with a couple drives. There was a drive, I think it was the second drive. After the first drive, they went like 3 and out. They just went and tried to throw. I'm like, dummies, you're paying Saquon Barkley. Hand him the ball at least once. And the next series they did. They ran, they gashed him on the run, and they got to the goal line. It's like, okay, they went with Gainwell, and then Barkley comes back, and it's like, just go with Barkley. They didn't. They threw it. Everyone was covered. So that was bad there. But what made it worse was knowing that if you're in that situation, you go for it on fourth down. There, you should really take the field goal, to be completely honest, that early in the game. But if you're going for it on fourth down, why wouldn't you just hand it off to Saquon? I get it. He was getting a blow, and you hand it off to your backup in Kenny Gainwell. But you got to give it back to him. I think he could have easily picked up the first down. First down there, I think it was like third and 5, around there. So I think you could have easily got close to it, and you could have done our patented tush push, man. Let's get it. But no, that didn't happen. They ended up going for it. 2 throws, and both incomplete. So that was terrible. I didn't like the play calling at all from Kellen Moore. And I guess I'll just go for it. They ran that fake handoff to Saquon. It worked earlier. That should have been called a touchdown. They ruled Saquon short of the goal line. And they ended up tush pushing. They ended up scoring there. And then they're like, okay, let's try it again. And this was Atlanta, the first 2, they handed off to Barkley twice. They played to stop the run there. So it's like, okay, just hand off the ball. You kick the field goal, and then it was a minute 30, and then they'll only have like 50 seconds to go down, right? No, they try to run that play again, and it was it's high risk, high reward. If you get the first down, you win. And Barkley, even though he's a really good running back, one thing he's not good is really pass catching. I think he leads the league in drops from a running back position.
He does.
So to give it to him in that spot is not the best game plan. He's not playing to Barkley's strength. I would hand it off to him there, and then take the timeout with 50 seconds instead of minute 30, and kick the field goal. But no, they end up kicking the field goal, and Kirk ended up going down the field and scoring on us. And Darius Slay, what the fuck were you looking at on that goal line? He's like looking at Kirk Cousins, and then Drake London just runs this easy out route, like the easiest route in the world to defend. And Kirk's was like, okay, I'll take that. Give me my 6 points. And then from there, it was over. Actually, one thing, Jalen Hurts, they were at midfield. And to get into Jake Elliott territory, he was in my opinion, a top 5 kicker. You're 15 yards away from range. And you decide, oh, Devontae Smith, a top 10 wide receiver, he's down the field somewhere. Fuck it, I'm going to throw it to him. You don't realize they have Jesse fucking Bates and Justin Simmons back there. You throw it, and then, of course, you throw it right to fucking Jesse Bates, who runs under it and catches. I'm like, what? He better be wide open if you're going to throw that. No, it was like a guy trailing Devontae, and then here comes Jesse Bates flying right in front of him, slides and makes the catch. He played hero ball at the end. I did not like that, and I gotta be honest. I admit, after 22, I thought he was top 5 quarterback after that year, but now I'm like, he might not even be top 10. He might not. I was wrong about that. And I guess I'll close my thoughts by saying we didn't fix what happened in 2023. We were doing that. We were collapsing. I remember the Seahawks game. We had that. Drew Lock beat us. Jackson Smith and Jigba down the sideline over James Bradbury. I remember it yesterday. So that reminded me of that. You didn't fix 2020. You didn't fix 2023. The problem's still there. Sirianni's still there. Horrible game management from him. I think horrible game plan. Yeah, I guess they installed a game plan without A.J. Brown. I get it. You probably had to pivot from that. And But man, I'm going to proclaim it. AJ Brown is the best offensive player on the team, and not having him hurt. He is our best offensive player, and not having him, it cost us. It hurt, and we're going to have him. We're not going to have him for the next couple of weeks, according to Lisa Salters. So it's going to hurt. It's going to be painful, and I'll say it. I think the season's over. I do.
Season's over. You're not even gonna make the
The
playoffs.
The defense is awful. There's no pass rush. There's no kind of pressure. Kirk had clean pockets.
Yeah, Bryce Huff was getting bodied.
He got shipped by Bashan
by tight ends.
He got blocked by a backup tight end. Not even Kyle Pitts. He got blocked by a backup tight end. Bijan came on the chip, and if it was like a TJ Watt or a Myles Garrett, it wouldn't have even knocked him over. But of course, when he hits him, he falls down. I'm like, you're paying $51 million to this guy when he was a situational pass rusher in New York when he came in third downs for the Jets. Yeah, that's looking like a mess up, Howie. So you screwed the pooch there. You neglected the defense. So this is all on him. And I'm looking at the rest of the season. You got New Orleans. I mean, the rest of the couple weeks, you got the Saints, you got the Bucks. And then the bye, you're going to be 1-3 at the bye. I'm sorry.
That could easily be 2 L's.
You are. I'm not picking you next week. A little spoiler. I'm not doing it, and I'm not going to pick you against the Bucks either. So,
true test.
You're going to be 1-3. Your defense blows too. No one, like I said, Jim Carr, Jordan Davis, nowhere to be found. Bryce Huff's nowhere to be found. When your best defensive lineman is like 35-year-old Brandon Graham, who I love him, but when he's the only one that sets the edge and plays edge, that's a problem. He shouldn't be your best edge rusher at this point in his career. So that's a shame. But
they should have kept Reddick, and they should have paid him. I don't know why
they should have. But the problem is they won't get him back. They won't. Howie and their ego, they won't admit to any wrongdoing of their own. It was the wrong move, and I don't see them getting them back. Eagles fans are like, "Oh, get him back, get him back." I'm like, I don't. They
brought C.J. Gardner back.
I mean, that's true, but I don't see it. I don't see him giving. You have to give up more than your third to get him back.
No, to give up that third right back. They'll just do a reverse trade, you know.
You do need him back, but yeah, it's rough. It's rough, man.
It is rough,
but
yeah,
I guess I'll leave it there.
I don't know if I have
much I could say. Yeah.
I don't know if I have much to say about the game. You pretty much covered everything. It just does not look good. Another collapse yet again. And yeah, Jalen Hurts, I just don't understand his, like, you guys still could have won that game on that last drive there. Like Jake Elliott, like you said, top five kicker.
Yes.
I'm like, what I thought, even though the Falcons scored, I think the Falcons gave you guys too much time left on the clock, and I thought you guys were still going to win. Honestly, I thought that you guys had enough offensively to get the job done.
What did Patrick Mahomes do at the end of that Chiefs-Bengals game? He got Harrison Butker in the range to win. That's the difference. Tom Brady, he made a career of that. He got, whether it was Gostkowski or Vinatieri, they got him in range to win the game. That's situational football. That's football IQ that Sirianni preaches, but the team has zero of it.
And then,
it's just awful. Terrible.
Another thing I didn't like, I saw a list that Nick Sirianni didn't even address the team after the game. He let Jalen.
I didn't like that either.
Like, you're the head coach. You don't let a player do it. It's not a player-led team. You're the head coach. Do something. That's why I'm saying Nick Sirianni's not a good head coach.
I guess Hurts must have gave a damn good. I get it. He's a leader. I guess he gave a damn good speech that like nothing else need to be said. But still,
you still gotta say something.
I don't like it.
It's your team as well. You're the coach. You're the guy people looks up to on that team. And
before the season, I was at like 10, 11 wins. Now I'm like under 10. So
do you still have them winning the division?
You know, you brought up a good point. You're like, the South is going to be an interesting finish, which I completely agree with. But you remember 2020, where it was like the NFC East was awful. We're gonna get something like that. And I'm telling you, the Commanders could win the
You think
division. They
I don't
could.
think
They can.
with the Giants, the Giants should have won that game, right? The Giants should have won that. I'm just not a big believer with the Commanders. I'm just not. Like Jaden Daniels, he doesn't even have a
I think he'll get
passing
better.
touchdown yet. He doesn't have a passing touchdown yet.
I think he'll get better.
He'll get better. I agree.
I think he'll get
But
better.
I'm just still not big believers in the Commanders. I think they escaped that
I guess
game.
my point is it's going to be wide open, is what I'm saying.
It's going to be wide open. I truly agree.
Like,
I think it's going to come down to Cowboys and Eagles at the end of the day. I think those are the two best teams. So I think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to them two.
Yeah.
They have the best roster on paper. So I think it's going to come down to them two.
But the Cowboys
I
still
still like
our teams, they got gashed on the run. They can't stop the run. That's what happened in that Packer playoff game. And that's what happened in that Saints game from Sunday. So they need to stop the run, number one. And yeah, they have no running game of their own. And that defense, they need to play with a lead so that they can rush the pass rusher. That's where you get production out of like a DeMarcus Lawrence and a Micah Parsons. So yeah, they can. So they're very beatable. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm sold. There's not a clear favorite. It's wide open, but in the bad way. It's not like every team's going to be super good. There's clear flaws with every team.
They're all pretty ass. That's what we can leave it with.
Yeah, we'll leave it there.
We'll leave it there. But hopefully, guys did enjoy this jam-packed episode of us recapping Week 2. We got to talk about, some upsets, talk about the Saints, and then, we finished it off with NFC's. Got to talk about the Giants and the Eagles there. But if you guys want to see more content, drop a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We would really appreciate it. Go follow our socials. We got a link tree down below. Has all our socials on there. And yeah, we're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. We're on everything. And any final words, Justin, before we conclude this episode?
I mean, thank you guys for tuning in. We love you. We appreciate you tuning in. And stay strong out there, okay? Everything's going to be okay one day. Stay strong, stay positive, man.
Yes. All right. Well, that's all for today. We'll catch you guys later. BenchWire.
Out.